What's going on, world? It's your main man, Kareem A. Rashid, the voice and your host of Clearing the Wreckage. Yes, we've got another great episode in store for you today. Once again, I don't know what you got going on. You could be driving to work, but all I ask is that you please pay attention to the road. Or you could be at work on a lunch break trying to get a quick sneak peek into this episode. Please be sure to clock back in on time. Yes! Or you could be doing something that is very important, to me at least, and that is on the toilet. Please be sure to flush. Yes. Woo. I love it. I love it. What's going on, my Wreckage Clearers? We are back for another great episode. This is episode 30. Can you believe it? We've done 30 episodes. We've had 30 fun-filled, sometimes even sad, sometimes even hilarious, sometimes even just emotional, all over the place conversations with one another. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for being here with me. Ooh, you heard that falsetto? I'm just kidding. What's up, though? Nah, I do want to say thank you. Oh, man, for being here with me. My faithful, very faithful, tried and true, loyal listeners of Clearing the Wreckage podcast. You're a part of this wreckage clearing community. Thank you so much. I want to thank you for sharing these episodes with your loved ones, with your coworkers. You're like, hey, man, have you heard Clearing the Wreckage? Man, you should check that out. I appreciate that so much, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you for viewing me on Instagram. By the way, you can check me out on Instagram at Clearing the Wreckage podcast. I finally made an Instagram page for my podcast. Man, I'm so late with everything. But you know what? It's a process, and I'm going to trust it. So today's episode and conversation we're going to have, stop fighting and trust the process. You know, I needed to tell myself, stop fighting and trust the process. I literally had to say that to myself. Stop fighting and trust the process. Kareem, you're fighting this so much. But this process you cannot skip. Remember, we talked about how the caterpillar has to go into its chrysalis stage or pupa stage, or like we like to say, the cocoon. It has to go into darkness. It has to go into isolation. It has to go through that in order to become a butterfly. It has to. If you don't believe me, you can look it up yourself, which I've done so much research on the caterpillar here in the last couple of weeks that I can tell you that is a fact. From all the research I've done, caterpillars are primed from the day they are birthed to become a butterfly. Yes. Maybe, just maybe, only if I believe, maybe I was primed to become a butterfly as well. Yes. Do you believe that about yourself? Do you believe that maybe you were primed to fly? To no longer be on this ground, to no longer be conformed to the constructed identity that was given to you. We've had this conversation. I've had these conversations with you for a reason, because it is now getting us to this place We are in our chrysalis stage. We are in our cocoon, and we soon are developing into becoming a butterfly and busting out of there and flying and living a fulfilled life, walking in purpose and changing this world and making other little larvas, little caterpillars is what I'm saying. That's what caterpillars are. They're birth from, they are larvae. That's the actual name, or larvae. And they start out really, 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 I'm talking about itsy bitsy 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 from the egg, very tiny. And they get big pretty fast because all they do is eat. Eat, 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 and grow. And develop physically. Sounds familiar? I'm sure it sounds familiar. If we want to correlate physically, if we want to correlate the physical aspects that a caterpillar goes through the human aspects, the biological aspects, when we are birthed, we don't do nothing but eat, sleep, and poop. That's it. Caterpillar does the same thing. Eat, sleep, poop. The same thing. Yep. And develops physically. That's what we do. Constantly. Constantly. So anyway, I just wanted to throw some similarity out there so that you can know that I am not just saying this to be saying it. I am not just, going through, I'm not just talking and blowing smoke up your hoo-ha, basically. Basically. Stop fighting and trust the process. What is it that you're afraid of? I know for me, I had to get to that point where I had to ask myself, I must be afraid. And I think the key thing I was afraid of was failing. I was afraid that I was going to let everyone down again. I was going to let myself down again because I had already been there. I'd already been here before. I did the sober thing. That went well for a little while. And then as soon as the pain hit and the people kept leaving, and then I kept having these suppressed memories come up because I was sober now of people leaving or of things happening in my childhood that I had no control over. And so I went to see a psychiatrist and got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Whoa, who would have known? Yes. And anxiety and depression. And here I am sober and clean. I'm feeling these things. They're heightened now because I no longer have a way to escape or to suppress those feelings anymore. I can't drink them down. And that was by choice because I actually desired back then to become a butterfly. I did not want to live the way that I was living on the ground as a little caterpillar. There were other plans made for me in the process. Because initially, now does a caterpillar consciously know that it's going to become a butterfly? No. But me as a human, I consciously wanted and desired to live a new life, to be a different person, to no longer resort to alcohol and drugs and sex. To no longer live that lifestyle of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that lifestyle of lying and deceit, that lifestyle of manipulation. I no longer wanted to be dishonest. I no longer wanted to be afraid. I no longer wanted to please all these people. I no longer wanted to do that. But when the pain hit, when the darkness hit and surrounded me, and we've had this conversation, I started I started to grieve my old identity. I knew there's something about everything that was constructed that I am starting to question who I am. Am I really this person? And I started to desire a new identity. But then here comes more pain and more pain and more pain. And my coping mechanism, just as a caterpillar develops as a juvenile, they develop coping mechanisms to stay alive. So I developed the same thing, these survival tactics. You can call it coping mechanisms. I like to call it survival tactics, survival skills. These are defense mechanisms I put up in order to stay alive. And one of them was escaping to drugs and alcohol. So you know that story, how I went back to it. I was surrounded by darkness. You already know the story. I don't need to repeat that. Or maybe I do so you can get it. Anyway. So I was afraid that I was losing myself. I was shedding my skin. You know, remember how I said in one of the episodes, like a snake? Well, the caterpillar actually goes through processes of shedding skin. They do the same thing. You see how similar my life was as the caterpillar, as I'm dying to my old identity. I'm shedding this skin. I'm molting, going through that process. The desire for this change had to happen inside of me in order for the whole process to take place. And that desire for change happened in me. It did. It happened in me the first time I got sober and clean. I wanted to be a different person. And so there was a process that was taking place to bring that desire back into me, which was taking me through darkness and bringing me to a place of dissolution and isolation so that I can see myself, so that I can see the wreckage that I caused and the wreckage that is in me and the destruction and the havoc, so that I can desire to change again and I can desire to grow and develop into a butterfly. So let's talk about the process, shall we? Let's talk about the caterpillar's process. All right, a little bit. Let's talk about how the caterpillar focuses on eating and growing, accumulating resources, and developing physically. That's what it does. I've already shared that with you. Now let's correlate that to the human. That this stage could possibly represent our younger years. Like I said, when individuals gain knowledge, we gain some type of skills, experience in life a little bit. The development of my initial identity, coping mechanisms, belief systems based on different experiences and different environments. So we've done that correlation. Let's do another correlation. How about the chrysalis or the cocoon? This is a period of introspection and internal transformation. The caterpillar enters a chrysalis for a radical, immense internal transformation. Their whole body breaks down and reorganizes itself at a cellular level into a butterfly. Can you believe that? Can you believe, if you heard my story, can you believe that that's exactly what I was going through? Episode 21, episode 22, episode 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Now we're here. Please go back and listen to those so you can see For me, it was introspection, it was self-reflection and inner work. I was, even though it didn't seem like it, I still was taking time to self-reflect. I still was taking time to write in my journal sometimes and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Why is this happening? Yes, I questioned a whole lot of things. I questioned my beliefs. I questioned so many different things. I started to examine those old beliefs, those old patterns. And I realized they no longer serve me. These drugs and this alcohol is no longer serving me. I underwent a kind of dissolution of my old self to make way for a new, aligned version of myself, a new, authentic version, a better version of myself. And that is what I'm doing now. Today, folks, I am a butterfly. If you see me today, you'll be like, man, I've been listening to you. We've been having so many conversations at our favorite coffee shop. And oh my God, man, like, and you keep telling me these stories, but I'm like, I want to believe you, but you don't look nothing like what you've been through. You really are a butterfly, Kareem. You're not a caterpillar. I'd be like, yeah, I once was, though. That's why I'm sharing this with you. Because I want you to be a butterfly with me. I want you to be a butterfly with me. I must be willing to let go of old patterns, for me, addictions, and stop fighting and stop resisting. In the same way, the caterpillar cannot resist the metamorphosis stage. It takes patience. Transformation takes time. Now, where was I at this point? I mean, I was depressed. I was going through, situation where my mom came to see me, and oh my gosh, I wanted to die. I thought that was the best thing to do because I'm the problem. I'm causing so much pain in other people's lives and in my own life. And I feel unworthy. I feel undeserving of love. I feel as if I deserve punishment. Just take me away from here, please. This pain is too much to bear. It's how I felt. It's how I felt inside of that cocoon, inside of that chrysalis stage, is exactly how I felt. So I had to go through some things. I had to resolve some things. I had to resolve some issues. I had to self-reflect. I had to look at that stuff. And finally, one night, I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. All I know is one night I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I decided that I am going to let go. This whole illusion of total control that I have over my life is an illusion. I don't control anything because the moment I try to, the way that I try to control things is by grabbing a drink, going to use drugs, or grabbing some girl. And that only creates more of a problem, creates more wreckage, and the wreckage still stays there. Nothing changes if nothing changes. It constantly stays the same. I will never be a butterfly. I wanted everything now. I wanted comfort. I wanted healing. I wanted instant gratification. The instant high, the instant good feelings. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Why is it so painful? I don't want to feel this pain. I went back to my coping mechanism, to my survival tactic, which was just that, drinking and using drugs. Resilience is also the key in the journey of trusting the process. There will be struggles and challenges, But I was afraid of those struggles and challenges. Let's just get real. Woo! Let me just keep it a buck with you. Truthfully, I was comfortable. We love comfort, maybe too much. Remember that conversation, episode 27? I was comfortable. I was like, this is what I'm used to. I can survive. It was a survival skill for me. A way to cope with life. Because I was filled with fear. I felt if I give this up, what will I have? So I was afraid to let go. Have you ever been so afraid to let go of something that you feel like you will not even know who you are? That is how I felt, folks. That is exactly how I felt. How am I going to be able to live without this? How am I going to be able to go through all this pain? I was fighting. I just kept fighting. I'm not going to be able to go through this pain without taking a drink. Hell no. That was how I was thinking. So that's why I resorted to that. But eventually, I let go. I couldn't tell you how. All I could tell you is that I did a lot of self-reflecting in that chrysalis stage, or in that cocoon, I should say. And I realized that I was fighting myself. Because what I was fighting was the whole process. And this process was going to take place. It was going to take place, whether I wanted it to or not. Just like the caterpillar cannot resist the process of becoming a butterfly. This was going to take place inside of me. It was already happening. Why not just let go? Surrender and let go. So I had to stop fighting. And I want to share something with you on how I stopped fighting. And the last journal entry I shared with you, I was in so much pain. I was depressed. I had questions, and I was fighting. That was on the last episode. I shared that with you. Let me share an entry with you today. I stopped fighting on February 21st, 2016. I have been a liar, a deceiver, manipulator, a con artist toward everyone, toward my mother and others whom love me. I need to be honest with them. I need to ask for forgiveness. I do not know why I do what I do. You ever felt that way before? May I ever accept myself. Bring me to a place of acceptance. Accept the fact that I love alcohol and drugs. I love to feel safe. I love the feeling it gives me. Maybe this is all just a process of war. Maybe this is all a fight against myself. I have been trying to wage war against myself. I've been trying to control my mind with my mind. And I find out each time this is not going to work. That was the last time that I picked up a drink. Excuse me. I was putting my journal away. Sorry, y'all, for the delay. That was the last time I picked up a drink or a drug. That was the last night when I wrote that was after me getting off my knees and begging for help. And that's the last time that I picked up a drink or a drug at all. 2016, February 22nd, is the day that I decided to make my sobriety date, because I felt like the 21st was the last day that I used, so the next day without anything. So that is, and you already know partially that, because if you've been listening to every episode, I told you I had celebrated a birthday, a sobriety birthday, on one of the episodes or whatnot, that I shared with you. So you already know that. So how are some of the ways that I was able to clear the wreckage, or some of the ways that we can continue to clear the wreckage by trusting the process? That is letting go of the illusion of total control. I had to let go of that. You heard me what I said in my journal entry. I've been trying to wage war against my own self. I've been fighting the wrong way. I'm trying to control my mind with my own mind. That's impossible. That's impossible. Almost impossible. Especially for someone like me to do. That's impossible. I can't control my mind with my mind. No. Now, that is an illusion. A lot of us think that we can. Truthfully, what helps you think differently is putting action, is going into action, right? Move a muscle, change a thought. Going into action helps you change your thoughts. Writing down and journaling those things help me change my thoughts, help me see my thoughts clearly. Here I am in my head, not writing nothing down, just escaping. And where is it getting me? I'm fighting this whole process with my mind. My mind is telling me, nope, this is too much pain. Man, just drink. This is too much pain. And then in my mind, I'm like, no, man, you shouldn't do that. You can get through it. Come on, you shouldn't do that. And then I'm like, nope, this is too much pain. Just drink. This is too much pain. Just drink. What do you think's going to happen? Most likely, I'm going to just drink. I'm not going to be able to restrain myself by just saying to myself, oh, no, don't do that. That's like when you're a kid and your parents tell you, don't touch the stove, it's hot. In your mind, you're like, oh, they said I shouldn't touch the stove, it's hot. I know I probably shouldn't touch the stove because they said it's hot, but I'm going to touch it anyway. That's what we do. All right, I'm moving on. It takes patience and faith when it comes to trusting the process. It requires acknowledging that achieving goals takes time and effort. That setbacks are part of the learning process. So I had to acknowledge for myself, you know what? I may fall again. I may fall. But I'm going to take this one day at a time. One day at a time. And if it wasn't for my therapist, I did not share that part with you. I went to see my therapist. And I cried. And I told her, that was when I got to the place where I said, I'm going to let go. I told her, I can't stop. I can't stop. I want to stop. I can't stop. There's that war, right? Of me fighting my mind with my mind. I surrendered it right then. I went and told my therapist, I said, I can't stop. I want to stop. And she was such great help and support, because if it wasn't for her suggesting that I try something new, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be where I am today. And what she suggested was that I try a different recovery group than the one that I was going to back then. She said, why don't you try a different recovery group? And I did. Embracing uncertainty and setbacks is part of the process. So I surrendered, and then I had to go, you know what, man? There's going to be adversity. There's going to be so many days, so many times, so many minutes, so many seconds, hours that I am going to want to go back to my old identity, to my old ways and my old patterns. There are going to be things that are going to happen. There are going to be things that are going to come up. I am going to be triggered in lots of ways. It's uncertain. But I am ready to embrace that. It was hard for me to embrace that I am not a failure. That was my identity. But at the same time, my identity was that I was perfect. So I can't be a failure. But my identity became that also, especially when I had that relapse, when I went back to that stuff. So in my mind, I had already failed. And what if I fell again? I had to change my mindset. By focusing on the journey, by focusing on the present moment. And that is what I did. I focused on the present moment. After I got my wings and I got out of that cocoon, I had to focus on the present moment. The joy of flying from tree to tree, to flower to flower, to branch to drink some nectar. Yep. I had to freaking enjoy the moment and focus on the present and appreciate the present moment. Thank you for keeping me sober and clean. It's so hard, but thank you so much that I got through this moment. Please help me get through the other moment. Praying through the process. That's part of trusting, because when it comes to trusting the process, I have to trust something greater than myself. I had to, because I've been trusted in me too much. I was trusted in alcohol and drugs to do the trick too much. I had to trust in something greater than me. I had to even trust, and this person isn't greater than me, but I had to even trust the advice that my therapist gave me. I had to trust that. I had to trust that she was sending me and suggesting the right group for me. So I had to go. By trusting, you take action. And that is part of the growth mindset, by taking actions. Knowing that struggles are going to come, but seeing them as an opportunity to grow. Not necessarily seeing it as an obstacle or a hurdle, but seeing it as an opportunity to grow. Now let's talk about how the caterpillar trusts the process a little bit. Just a little bit. And then we're going to end this episode. The caterpillar trusts the process through instinct and hormones. At the beginning of its life, it's just instinctful, right? And it has all these hormones that come out. This juvenile hormone is given to it, constantly. The caterpillar does not consciously decide to become a butterfly. Its journey is guided by instinct with the balance of hormones within its body, right? It follows the natural path. When the time is right, the caterpillar instinctively seeks a safe, secluded spot to pupate, to go into the pupa, to go into the chrysalis or the cocoon. And during the pupa stage, the caterpillar's body undergoes a remarkable transformation within the cocoon. This is the time of internal change because the caterpillar body actually breaks down and then reforms into the adult butterfly body parts. It embraces the unknown. While the caterpillar's journey represents complete surrender to the natural process, it does not know the outcome, but it surrenders to that whole natural process. And that was hard for me to do. I didn't know the outcome. I didn't know if I was going to resort right back to, drinking the next day. I didn't even know that the next day I was going to wake up and not even have a inkling or obsession to even drink or drug. What happened the next day when I woke up is I flew out of that cocoon. Woo! Yes. That's what happened. I bust up out of there. Was like, let's go. Yeah. Change also takes time. We've talked about that. The patience and the faith that we have to have that's required in trusting the process. There's no instant results. I had to understand that I could not get instant results. I'm not going to get instant satisfaction or instant high. There's going to be lots of pain. There's going to be lots of hurt. There's going to be lots of heartache that is involved in this. But I am not going to drink. I am not going to go and reach for a drug. I am not going to look for sex. I am not going to appease my appetite. I am no longer a juvenile caterpillar. I no longer have this juvenile hormone that is being released in me so much anymore. I am now an adult butterfly. I am now an adult butterfly. Faith and resilience comes with trusting the process. It must come into play. We must believe that change, even that is uncomfortable, is going to lead us toward something new and something beautiful. I had to believe that my therapist said, maybe you should go to this group. I had to believe that, man, okay, this is a change. It's not the same group. It's going to be different. It's going to be different people. But why don't you try the support group? I said, okay. I went. And it turned into something new and beautiful. I had to believe that it will lead me to something new and beautiful. And it truly just is about letting go. The caterpillar lets go, surrenders completely to the whole process of becoming a butterfly. Are you ready to stop fighting and trust the process? I don't know what your battle is. Your battle may not be addiction like mine, but I battled all of that. I shared all of it with you, all the way up to this conversation. I battled the post-traumatic stress disorder. I battled the abandonment issues. I battled the suppressed emotions. I battled the anxiety, the depression. I battled the feelings that I would have of not feeling perfect or feeling like a failure, feeling unworthy, feeling unloved, feeling like I deserve punishment, feeling like I'm always going to be alone. I battled all of that. What is your wreckage? What is your battle, and are you going to stop fighting and trust the process? It is time, folks, for us to become butterflies. I am beautiful, and you are too. Let's flap our beautiful wings and bust out of the cocoon and enjoy flying from branch, from leaf to leaf, enjoying the wonders of life and living a fulfilled, purposeful life. Until next time, as I always leave you, take some time to look inside so that the wreckage can begin to clear. Peace.